verdict of the Court of Appeal after just 24 hours after that verdict. By this time yesterday, they were still there reading the longest in history, the longest judgment we've seen in the history of election litigation in Nigeria. It started at about 9:20 a.m. and ended around 9:50 p.m. 12 whole hours, more than 12 hours of, dispensing justice. Let me ask you, MJ, now looking at another issue raised was this issue of allegation of money laundering.
Yeah.
Against Bola Tinubu.
You see, the court decided that. Well, before I go to that, I think let me give a background on how the Court of Appeal arrived at those men. I mean, those wise men, quote and unquote, 5 of them. We have 3 of them Christians. 3 of those justices, Christians. That's Justice Aruna Simon Samani, is the chairman of the panel, is a Christian from a PDP state of Bauchi. Is actually from Dogara's local government.
Okay, local government.
Yes, that's the chairman of the panel, Aruna Simon Samani, and is the registrar of the Court of Appeal. So, and in the hierarchy of the Court of Appeal is number 11. So, and on this panel is the most senior. There are 73 justices of the Court of Appeal in Nigeria today in the 21 divisions. So the management of the Court of Appeal, headed by the PCA, the president of the Court of Appeal, did a due diligence in appointing the justices that sat on this panel. So out of the 5 of them, 3 are Christians, 3 are from PDP-controlled states. Only Stephen Jonah Ada is from Kogi, and he practices in Asaba. And Asaba judicial decision. So so for Justice Mistura Bolaji Yusuf, she also practices as Asaba. She's from Oyo State and from a PDP-controlled state of Oyo. Bolu Komo Moses Ugo Justice practices in Kano and is from Bayelsa State, a PDP state, while Ababelo Mohammed, the other Muslim, apart from Justice Mistura and Ababelo Mohammed are the 2 Muslims on the panel. So he practices in Ibadan, a PDP-controlled state. He is from Kano State, state of origin, controlled by the NNPP. So you can see that a balanced tribunal of 5 panel members. Now, coming to the issue of the money laundering.
Against Bola Tinubu.
Yeah, the court said it is not a criminal forfeiture, but rather a civil forfeiture. A criminal forfeiture means that you have been convicted, you have been jailed, and sentence passed on you. That is a criminal forfeiture. But convicted,
jailed, and sentenced.
Jailed and sentenced. You must have gone through the whole log of the court process. But this one, the essence of this is for government to recover its money like we have in the case of Sonny Abacha. It is justice in rem, which means it is a civil procedure that allows the government to recover its money. You see, in these past few days, I've almost become a senior advocate of Nigeria, and I think they should.
Studying law.
Yes.
Quoting law.
You see, because what I've learned, I was listening to Professor Killer yesterday, and it dimensioned all of this, and also Chief Clark, Chief Ike Clark, 85-year-old. He said he's 85 years old and he has done more than almost about 40 years at the bar. This is one of the richest judgments he has had in history. I mean, for somebody like Clark, I mean,
not doctored.
Not doctored. He said so. And I'm quoting him. So, he dimensioned all these cases that how can you go to court and be citing other cases. They were citing criminal forfeitures. A criminal forfeiture is different from a civil forfeiture. In a civil forfeiture, the government will recover its money and allow you to. It's like a plea bargain.
Okay, Wale, let's quickly go to the protracted certificate issue. Even before the judgment, after the judgment, you know, it's still something Atiku Abubakar had taken to Chicago University and is still a subject of litigation in the United States of America today.
Well, for me, I think if for anyone who is a journalist like myself, and you have been covering politics for a long time, there are some cases people take to the Tribunal just for political reasons. They want to invoke sentiments. They know it's not true, but they just, they are bringing it up for political reasons. Because, I'm saying this because this case has been on since 1999. And I remember that in the days of President Obasanjo, he did everything possible to bring out, water from stone, something from nowhere about this particular case. People went to court, they did everything. 1999 election, 2023 election, all these things came up, debated, in the public space, taken to court, court made pronouncements. So, and I don't know why continuously, after about 20-something years, we still bring up this case. Something that that just if you Google to check whether someone has attended university, you'll get your facts. If you go to the US and under the Freedom of Information Act, apply. You don't need to go to court. They will give you information about people that attended their school. These facts are there. So I think for taking that case to court, it's just a question of people just want to
get the court records.
No,
They want to get the records in school.
Yeah, you can.
They want to get the records.
You can get records.
Atiku applied to get the records.
Yeah, you can.
Bola Tinubu's
I'm saying that it's been on and on. Records have been
Omokri
provided.
went to the school.
Omokri even paid to get the records.
Went to the school.
So everybody is
They gave it to
aware.
him.
So I don't know why this thing keeps on reoccurring. But I had an interview with the late Akingide, former Attorney General of the Federation. And he told me one thing. He said, to win a case in court about presidential election, there are two things you need to rely on. The theory of circumstance, that means you need to bring evidence. You make allegations about rigging and all that, but where? Which political? Then the theory of substantial compliance. Yes, there are irregularities, but are they enough? Are they substantial enough to upturn the scale?
Yeah.
So if you are talking about irregularities, there are irregularities everywhere, including Southeast, including Borno, but they are very few. They are not substantial enough to undermine the fundamentals of the election.
Jide, yesterday when I got the story about this woman from the Senate, Natasha, in Kogi State, that she won her election, and at the same time, this case was on, and I discovered that it's very, very difficult to actually prove for over 176,000 polling units across the country to prove beyond reasonable doubt. That means we are talking about the place of evidence in litigation. Throughout, these judges kept talking about, lack of evidence.
Yeah.
Throughout, in about 169 places.
1,000.
Oh, well, I don't think you need to even provide evidence from all of the polling centers in our country. But the question is, what is the evidence that they provided? Bringing journalists to court to come and play video of INEC chairman announcing that they are going to post on IREF. How will that help you to win in court? That was a promise. And the man claimed that they had glitches, and because they had glitches, he could not fulfill that promise. So you wanted to use that, you brought people from 2 TV stations, and you got them to play videos of the man at a press conference making a promise. And they said on election day, they couldn't use it. The polling officers that were interviewed also said that they found it difficult to post stuff on IREF because of those glitches that they are talking about. Listen to what Justice Mistura said. It is obvious that the petitioners were just fixated on the belief that they won the election without any credible and cogent evidence, and they did not bother to place any such evidence before this court. Were they expecting the court to gather evidence from the streets or markets, or were they hoping the court would be swayed or intimidated by threats on social media? This is not how the courts operate. So they didn't really bring evidence. We've seen presidential election petitions in our country. We've seen much bigger evidence provided, yet people didn't win. In this case, they provided little or nothing, and you could see the judges schooling them, teaching them how to do this work. One of the judges even cited a book, cited what somebody wrote in a book, one of the lawyers.
Yeah, articles.
To defeat the argument that they came up with. Even Jagede's matter, Jagede contested, Jagede is one of Atiku's lawyers, he contested for the governorship election in Ondo State. The judges used the conclusions from that petition, they used it to debunk an argument that Jagede brought to court. So I think that at the end of the day, you must impress the judges. You must provide solid evidence. And our law clearly envisages that it is impossible to have a perfect election. And that is why the law talks about substantial compliance. It is not saying substantial is not complete. It is not asking for complete compliance. The law is asking for substantial compliance. Once substantial compliance is achieved, you have won the election. You have won. So this is the thing. They must work harder next time. Atiku has indicated that he's going to the Supreme Court. Honestly, if you had asked me whether I was sure that
No, lost battling with connection with Jide. Now we want to look at the role played by the social media in all this. An hashtag was created, all eyes on the judiciary, and some even went to give you the profile of the judges. Some even alleged that one of the judges actually resigned. He was intimidated and he resigned. Meanwhile, he had his judgment yesterday, and the judgment was so brutal.
But I'm going to read from the judgment of Justice, just excerpt.
It was alleged some days ago in social media that he was intimidated and everything, that he had to step down. Meanwhile, that was the judge that gave one of the most brutal judgments.
It's from Bayelsa State, like I said earlier, a PDP
control
state.
Actually,
now
it's not true.
Of course, he gave his judgment, and he said, first I take Abia State. Only there are alleged second respondent. Only there, they allege that the second respondent, which is Tinubu, allegedly the favored candidate of INEC, quote and unquote, only gathered a miserly 8,914 votes against the Labour Party, who scored 327,000 votes in Abia. And he said, if you are claiming that this man, Tinubu, is the friend of INEC, so how come you scored 327,000 votes and he scored only 8,000 votes and they did not upturn it in his favor in Abia? He went on to Enugu, where he said INEC credited Tinubu with 4,772 votes, while Labour Party got 428,690 votes. Yet, INEC is Tinubu's friend, while it's Labour Party's enemy. He now went to Lagos. Of course, I want to just paraphrase. He said, even in Lagos State, where the second respondent, that is Tinubu, was governor for 8 years and still dominates that's his support base. he lost by about 10,000 votes to the Labour Party candidate, Peter Obi, and you say INEC is his friend. In Abuja, the federal capital, where INEC has its headquarters, you defeated this man. You didn't even allow him to have 25%, where you now say, because he didn't have 25%, you are the winner of the overall election. He said now he's still INEC's friend. You don't stand logic.
Quickly, let me take this one to Jide. The role of the social media in all this.
Yes, all of the intimidation and all that, clearly, just like Femi Falana said, some of the people were voting for the first time. And because they were voting for the first time, they expected that their candidate must win. Let me read what Femi Falana said. This is the first time the judiciary is experiencing an unprecedented level of blackmail. Some of the people involved in this election are voting for the first time, and they believe rightly or wrongly that their candidates must be declared the winner. We've had election petitions from the colonial era, but none of them have seen such a high level of blackmail and intimidation directed at the judiciary. The judge of judges is to examine the evidence, apply the law, and deliver a decision. Justice Okoro, JSC, complained while giving that judgment on May 28th this year that judges continue to.
Wow. Let's come back to the social media. The impact of the social media. Yeah.
Well, I think there is a generation gap, and a lot of people without deep sense of history. Well, freedom of speech, people need to express themselves, but I think we should do so with some level of dignity, because I don't think it makes sense for people to be propagating falsehood, to be making statements that are not correct, and also to be attacking, to turn ourselves to the Supreme Court judges, making proclamations, attacking people and all that. I think that is, morally repugnant. I don't think it's right. And I want to advise people who do that they are doing justice to themselves, they are doing justice to the country, and they are doing justice to even to the judges, to humanity. We should allow the judges to go about their work, and then whatever decisions that they take, I think we must be prepared to accept such decisions. I'm not also surprised because, like Babajide said, a lot of people are not conscious of what has happened, and they don't bother to read about their own political history. They are just judging by impulse of the moment, Because if you understand the way things work, you must know that, the judges can only judge based on the evidence presented to them. And if with this kind of
based on the evidence,
facts,
figures,
like that is it.
So everything that happened yesterday was actually done.
You just need to read. If you are educated, read from beginning to the end. You will satisfy yourself that, look, I'm happy these judges have done a very good job. There was a case they started irregularities, the petitioners, in 8 states. Out of those 8 states, you have Osun. APC did not win Osun. They started Lagos, won by Labour Party. Then they started Oyo. They started Rivers and all that, Yobe. So why did you have to cite Lagos and Osun, even when, PDP won in Osun and then Labour Party won in Lagos? So there are all sorts of contradictions. And if you are intelligent enough, if you read it, you know that this is a very, it means, in fact, it's a thorough judgment, that I think has enriched the quality of, jurisdiction in our political history.
Jide, let me take you to the quality of judgments. It was 12 hours plus. And what are those things that you will continue to remember in this judgment?
No, the judges demonstrated depth and precision. Deep explanations were offered. They made it so easy. And I can tell you, they've made the job of the Supreme Court extremely easy because they simplified everything.
Network.
Quality of judgment.
Yeah, they made it so simple, just like Jide was trying to explain there. I was glued to my television for the whole 24 hours. And from the from the chairman of the panel, Justice Samani Haruna, right up onto Justice Mistura. Quality, I mean, there is something that you pick from each of those judgments. And I think to cap it all, Chief Edwin Clark has a word for the lawyers or for the legal counsel of both Atiku and Labour Party. He said, you should study the psyche of the lawyer or the judge you are going to meet, and also prepare very well. And he now quoted Justice Nikitobi, where he said, the court of law do not give judgment according to public opinion or to reflect public opinion unless such opinion represents or presents the state of the law. So all this public opinion that the law does not operate on sentiment. You see, so you must present your case, bring the facts on the table, and that's why Justice Mistura told them that, come, you don't expect us to go on the streets or into the market to pick evidence for you. You have to come here and prove. You cited 100, you claim you have 133,000 agents in all across the country. You cannot bring just one agent. Is that?
Let's go through the quality of judgment.
Yeah, I think if you look at the language, the syntax, the premises, the logic, the symbolic logic, and then the conclusion, I think this is a collector's item. Reading through, detailed judgment, taking every cobweb, and extracting it and isolating it, dealing with it substantially. I think this is quite impressive, and it lasted for so many hours. Even while some lawyers were sleeping, these judges were active, delivering their judgments with all sense of responsibility, with vigor, with determination. And I think I'm really impressed that in spite of the bullying, in spite of the loitering you see in the social media, in spite of the assault, the terrorism, social media terrorism, they live up to expectation, they live up to the dictates of law, and they were able to give Nigerians justice that we are all hoping for. However, I think judgment is one thing. The government now needs to win the hearts of the people, and we are all waiting to see that happen.
PKO, they have 60 days from now to go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
What do you see coming? They have that right to actually exhaust the final option.
Atiku has already said that he will go to court, and I know him very well. I could have decided to swear to God again on air that Atiku will go to Supreme Court. If you had asked me, I expected that he would not be satisfied by this thorough judgment. Those judges demonstrated depth and precision, and what they have done will really enhance the quality of our jurisprudence in this country. Many lawyers are happy about the deep explanations that the judges offered. Look at the matter of Tinubu. The judges said there is no evidence that Tinubu was convicted in the US for drug trafficking. They said Tinubu was not indicted, was not arraigned, was not tried, or convicted. So it settles the matter of, the forfeiture. It is not US money. It's just a matter of suspicion that an account had been used to commit infractions, and they decided to take that decision to literally find that account. Tinubu didn't steal government money. It's different from what we had with Abacha. Abacha stole Nigerian money. So it was made to forfeit what he stole, and it was sent back to us. These are completely different matters. So this has put to rest the ambiguity that some people had. I know that in spite of this judgment, some people are not placated. To them, if judgment doesn't go in their favor, then it is a bad judgment. It means that the judges are bad. when it went against the APC in Zamfara, we didn't hear that. When it went against David Leon, who was already rehearsing for inauguration, we didn't hear them say that. So some people in our country, unless the judgment is in their favor, they will never be happy. So Supreme Court, thank God, is just 60 days. So in 60 days, we are sure that the Supreme Court will do justice. And I tell you, the Justice Samani and the rest of them have done a very thorough work.
For background.
It is the longest judgment in Nigerian history, after Awolowo's judgment and that of Atuche, the banker. This is the longest. They got up, they went on recess just for 15 minutes in 13 hours. Come on. And the lawyer got up and was telling them to hurry up. And they said, well, what are you talking about? Are you going to teach us how to do our work? He had to apologize. And at the end of the judgment, APC lawyer, at the end of the judgment, he got up and apologized again. So that he was lucky that they did not commit him to jail. People are working hard. You are standing up to tell them to rush. If they rush the thing, they don't do it thoroughly. Will you be able to defend them?
We can't exhaust this judgment
from
day.
social media.
It's not possible to finish dissecting it.
I think civil forfeiture, I'll end on that note, is an act in rem when the action of the court or government is to recover the proceeds of unlawful activity. And for forfeiture can only be made after an indictment, trial, conviction, and the case properly prosecuted in a law court. And that has not happened in the case of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yeah, to win in the court is a great thing, but it is a greater virtue to win in the hearts of Nigerians. Nigerians are passing through difficult moments. The government needs to address this issue. I think that will be the highest victory. If that is not done, I don't think there is cause for celebration.
Winning the mind of Nigerians. Nigerians are going through a lot.
Yeah.
I think that is very, very weighty, that this government must acknowledge the fact and whatever they are doing, they must do it expeditiously so that we can feel the impacts of what they have on ground. I want to thank you, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. I want to thank you all the way from Maiduguri in Borno State. Thank you. I won't ask you when you are going to come back. I want to thank you, Wale Adeoye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And MJ himself.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
We'll still talk about the judgment after the program.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
This is an ongoing conversation. And that's our take today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight for 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout Special for Sunday. It's 2 hours. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Usubakun. Catch you on Sunday.